What's up, guys? Pre-draft Garden Report special. Um, you've heard a lot of basketball talk the last couple of days, um, with the Celtics pulling shocker of a trade, getting
Oh
their
yeah, it's the end of an era, John. It's the
and
end of an era for sure.
it is. We've heard Bobby's take a couple of times. You heard my take earlier today if you joined us. We're going to get Joe Sways. We're going to get Sherrod. Jimmy's going to jump on a show later. And we're going to kind of roll through the beginning of the NBA draft. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to hang out here, talk a little bit shop, obviously talk about the news of the day, news of yesterday and the news of today as well with all of these trades. Are the Celtics done dealing? We don't know. Is there a possibility they do something crazy? I guess, there
Yeah,
it seems
after
it's
last night, right?
after
Anything.
last night, I guess, and so look, do we expect them to do something like bananas, like trade into the first, few picks? No, but we're gonna hang out and talk to you through the first few picks of the draft just to see if there is any craziness. And I suspect what's going to happen is everyone's just going to make their pick and we'll move on. Then what we're going to do after that is the Celtics now, because of their trade, have a first round selection, something they don't do very often. They're picking 25th overall. We're going to jump back on live 4 or 5 picks before the Celtics pick, maybe around pick 20, kind of count it down, see who's left, and take you all the way through that pick with instant analysis. Should the Celtics make any trades in the draft and we are not currently live, we will jump on immediately and do so. Stay with us by following us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that little bell, turn on your notifications. You'll be notified once a show goes live. Jump on with us, spend draft night with us, talk it over. Definitely interesting stuff with the Celtics right now. Bobby Manning is going to be at the Auerbach Center all night where the Celtics kind of have a little draft headquarters set up. We'll hear from Brad Stevens. I'm not sure how much he can say, Joe Sway, about this trade, but holy crap, there's a lot to talk about. Again, without it being official, it's going to be weird, and it's going to be pretty disappointing if we get we can't talk about anything because it can't blah, 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 blah. Which could happen. The NBA is weird in terms of when you can announce stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But Joe Sway, I haven't heard your take yet on the big news with Marcus Smart, who, and again, I think you were among the Marcus defenders.
Yeah, for sure.
And I honestly came around. I've always felt the same on Marcus. If we judged him for what he was, he's great. Every team should have a Marcus Smart. When he's miscast in the way that he has been at times with the Celtics, he's thrust into the lead point guard role, playmaker, facilitator, and this and that. You're going to get a mixed bag, and that's what you get with Marcus Smart. I'm actually pretty surprised how many people were like, good, see ya. As opposed to I woke up in my feelings a little bit. Too. I got a little sentimental. I'm like, it's a weird world here without Marcus. But what are your thoughts just on the trade?
Yeah, it's the end of an era, John, and obviously it comes as it was a surprise because we're hearing the Malcolm Brogdon thing, the deal set in place. I mean, it made sense. I was a fan of the deal, the initial one, right? And to find out Marcus is the guy that they had to pivot to, I think says a lot. I think it says a lot about what Brad Stevens, how he feels about Kristaps Porzingis. I think this is his guy. I think this is his opportunity, or at least the way he saw it, to improve the roster and give up one of those guards. And even if it came down to Marcus Smart, final hour, we always say that line, or at least sometimes, or maybe on Causey Street we say that more often. But gun to the head, who are you going to do there? And he chose to move on from Marcus Smart. And look, I always envisioned that was going to be the offseason in terms of getting rid of one of those guards and trying to address the front court. And I think that he did that in a big way. I just didn't, obviously none of us assumed it was going to be Marcus Smart, especially when the initial reports came out about Malcolm Brogdon. So I look at it as, it's a risk. It shows how, Brad Stevens feels about Kristaps Porzingis. And I think at the end of the day, John, I'm sure you would agree with me on this. I don't know if you get a better player in return in the same scenario, right? You look across the league of guys that are available, especially, again, addressing the front court concerns, whether it's Robert Williams, whether it's Al Horford. I mean, neither one of those guys, you feel really confident about having a long season, and I think Kristaps Porzingis helps that. They shouldn't be done, though, right? They still have to add pieces to that front court, to the second unit to round out the roster. But, look, Porzingis, everyone's going to point to the health history. Other people will point out to what he's done for the team, what he's done for the league lately, right? And I think that's the part where really pushed Brad Stevens over the edge. He's 27. He's playing some of the best basketball. He's coming off some of the best season of his career. And I think that he really is a big fan of this guy and what he can do in terms of provide Celtics with different options, as someone that can score inside, defend the pick and roll at a high level. And of course, he has the 3-point, the outside touch that always going to help, Tatum and Brown.
Yeah. I think it helps. I think from a basketball standpoint, it makes sense. I think the disaster potential is extremely high, both in terms of fit.
It's a risk. Yeah,
within the locker
sure.
room, X, Y, and Z. But again, you got to be real about Smart. Like, again, an imperfect player, but a player that you liked and and liked you back. That we always talked about how important that is in terms of connecting with the fans. But man, I mean, I think he's slowing down. I think, I'm not gonna say best year's completely
Is
behind.
he right here? Is he at the top? You're not quite sure when he's
I
the
mean,
thing?
obviously he was hurt a little bit this year. I mean, he even entered the year kind of complaining about the ankle a little bit. But I mean, his body is slowing down some. He's not a great shooter. He's not a great creator. He is an adept passer, but the ball wasn't in his hands, late in games. So you're kind of running this rudderless offense through your turnover prone wing players. I don't know that. Yeah. I don't know who handles it now. I do feel like you got one of two options, Josue. You just put the ball in Derek White's hands and say, just do it. Or you kind of run that offense where, you play this positionless thing and you run it through Tatum and you hope he keeps improving in that regard. And that's who you are. Not every team. I was saying this with Bobby earlier. You look at the Celtics and you're like, they're incomplete. That's because they felt complete this year, more so. Right. Not every team is complete. There are teams win, without having everything, but they make the most of the pieces that they have because they have enough talent all over the floor. Celtics can kind of get back to that double big identity. They can defend the paint a little bit. They can score. They have a legit, for the first time, and as good as Derek White was, this is the first legit third scorer since the Hayward and Kemba moved on, and now that Tatum and Brown have entered their primes, you are adding a legit third scorer alongside them, something you didn't have. Brogdon, I thought, brought some good offense. He's still here, and he might continue to be here, but I think it makes you better. But there's injury issues. There's fit issues. We still don't know whether they're extending him and what that means. So there's still a lot of questions. It's really hard to kind of judge it all until it comes down. But my opinions are changing about a lot of different things here as time has gone on. I think people are going to look at it like, oh, the Brogdon deal fell through, so they traded Marcus instead. And the more I look at this felt like a fully baked trade they were going to make also. And potentially get Tyus Jones back in return.
Well, do you think it was also, or was it just a backup plan all along? Because that framework had to be there, right, John? I mean, for them to do it in the final hour before that Porzingis deadline, it shows that they contemplated this long before it happened. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it was also. I think Porzingis was Porzingis, and they were getting him for Brogdon. They had a separate talk about getting picks and moving Marcus. So there's a salary component to things. You're clearing the books for 2-3 years from now. You're trying to clear them out a little bit by moving on from some salary. Trying to get this is kind of what I was saying they need to do. They have to find a way to get younger while remain competitive. They can load up they can load up this year and pay whatever the F they want because they're not worried about that. They're just going into the tax, but those second apron penalties don't kick in for another year. It's 2 years from now where you got to have your stuff in order. And we saw it with Golden State. They did the same exact thing. When Jordan Poole's extension kicks in, they didn't want to go deep into the tax. So they're worried about it. They're worried about that second apron as well. It's not the money anymore. It's that kind of the competitive handcuffs it puts on you. So you're seeing money being moved right now. And so it's just a strange time in the league. And so that's why it happened. But I think Marcus might have gone also. In this thing. I think that was a ready-made deal. I think the Celtics got a worse deal out of it because I think they were getting picks and probably Tyus Jones in return. for Smart, and instead, Tyus has to go to Washington, and the Celtics have to give up 35. I think if they were able to pull that Brogdon deal, you got Brogdon and Smart gone. More stuff coming back. Celtics hold on to their picks and they get Tyus instead as for backup depth there. And I think I think it's possible that that's what was going to happen.
Well, with the ties part, I mean that's an interesting part of it, right? Because that's a player who's been mentioned, been tied with the Celtics before, and sort of that kind of guy who can, play multiple positions and sort of fits the system. So yeah, I mean, it's possible for sure. I mean, if that's the case, though, it makes you wonder, why they were going into the offseason saying like, okay, step 2, trade Marcus, right? Because step 1 was, get the assistant coaches to help beefing up that coaching staff. And then it was just like, wait, trade Marcus? Because that had to be one of the things that they went into thinking, because, to have that, again, to have that structured deal, to have that ready, it had to be something that some sort of conversation that they had in the past. And clearly the Memphis Grizzlies have shown interest in Marcus Smart in the past, in the last couple of years. Like, it really does solve that issue that they have in the backcourt, especially with John Morant being suspended, for 25 games.
He's grown up Dylan Brooks, like it's basically he's
man, is it like that?
Well,
is that the case inside the locker room? Is that what I'm saying?
I'm saying he's a grown up. He's an adult version. It's Dylan Brooks is a child, and who Marcus Smart wants to be. I mean, he's a Marcus Smart wannabe, and they're replacing it with the genuine article.
Oh, I get what you're saying now. I never mind.
Yeah.
But he'll be a great influence for those guys, man. That's exactly the kind of guy they need.
Until he shoots 6 threes late in the game.
They'll forgive it though. They'll forgive it in Memphis.
No, that's the thing. When you trade stuff and you get a guy, you're like, do something for me. I want to see it. You got to see instant impact. Marcus has one of those, like, you got to see a culture change in the way that the team is playing overall. You're not going to see his impact necessarily in like straight production. It's not going to be like, well, this guy can score. This guy, whoa. Celtics were using him incorrectly. You know what Marcus Smart is. He's in there to be a pro, to handle the ball while Morant is out, to give them more of a defensive presence. Then they're going to have the last 2 defensive player of the years on the same roster. But again, we've been when you're a Celtics fan, when you make trades, you don't want gritty, grimy guys. You want superstar guys. But again, low first round picks, you're fine. It's the same thing. You traded Romeo and a first rounder for Derek White. That turned out fine. People are pretty happy with that. So here you gave away 2 picks. I don't know. I'm still looking at that Golden State pick thinking that Golden State could go sideways
quickly, right?
I'm not saying it's going to be a top 5 pick, but Golden State could implode. I mean, they could also win the title next year. I really don't know. There's
and outside of top 5, which is is protected. So yeah,
but they're getting older. They're getting smaller. Chris Paul, we'll get to that news in a little. It's a weird fit there. A team that likes to kind of play free and move a lot, and ball finds energy, and you're going to get this slow it down, get the best shot, pick and roll style, control freak point guards. It's not an awesome fit. So I am curious how that's going to go. He's also old as hell, so like,
yeah, this is it, man. This is like the 9th inning right here of his career, man. Like, this is, yeah. I mean, look, it's worth the risk if you're the Golden State Warriors, but we'll get into that later. But no, real quick, I just want to, again, let's talk about Brad Stevens, because it takes a lot of guts to pull this move off, right? I mean, to pull the trigger in the final hour, to do it with that kind of pressure, because of according to multiple reports that extension, even though it could have been, or that deadline rather, could have been extended, they weren't willing to do that. So he was up against it. And, we talk about how people felt, the reaction from Celtics Nation. I feel like maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like the split in terms of how people feel about Marcus Smart really happened after he took over the point guard position, right? Being the starting point guard. And I wonder if Brad Stevens just looked at it as like, well, first of all, this team needs some sort of shakeup, some sort of identity. They have to go find themselves, right? And obviously it takes, trading up players for that to happen. And I wonder how much of that Brad looked at it as, well, maybe this is the way this team can grow, right? From this type of adversity. And this is probably the best, the most value I'm going to get out of Marcus Smart right now. So if there's a deal on the line, or heck, if he's in the way of me getting Kristaps Porzingis, then forget it. I'm going to trade this guy. I just feel like that was sort of his mentality, going into this. Like, he wasn't afraid to put Smart in a deal, because again, he thought about this way before it happened. I feel like I don't think this was one of those in the final hour. He thought, oh, maybe this is the first time I'm going to actually trade Marcus Smart.
So you just hit it on the head, and this is why I've now come around in my thinking that the deal was going to also happen for Smart. Is the rush to do Porzingis was then to turn around and do Smart because they want the picks and they wanted them before tonight. So you could have kicked Porzingis down the road, but there was draft capital exchanging hands that was part of deals that they wanted to do. So I think they wanted to get it done now. If there was no other deal involving any draft stuff, as there wasn't really, but I think you had to do it because picks had to move. The Wizards had to get their picks, and it's possible it wasn't anything to do with the Celtics, but the Wizards needed their picks before the draft to complete any deal, and that was part of it. But it makes me think the Celtics wanted picks also, and they knew they were going to get some in that separate deal with Memphis, and they wanted to get it done heading into tonight's draft because, again, they've got some leverage now where they can make some moves if they wanted to. They can get creative now that they have, a pick this year and 2 picks next year, Golden State's and their own. They can start to get a little bit funky with stuff if they want to make some moves and do some things. So they can go in a couple of different directions. So I am curious what happens with this stuff and whether they do it. I'm just not sure whether or not they're going to do anything splashy tonight, but man, would that be something, right?
Yeah, that would, especially tonight, in this draft. It's somewhat of a difference between 25 and 35. It's not a whole lot, but it'll be interesting to see how this thing breaks down and the kind of players that they have. I mean, look, I just hope it's someone that's more NBA ready, so to speak, right? I don't want to see these guys go out because they kind of they got to hit something here, right, John? I mean, like this is we always give them crap about their picks in the last couple of years and how they've, turned into guys who are not on the team anymore. You feel like in this spot, especially with the new CBA coming up and the trade or after the trading market, you got to maximize this thing. So it's not over in terms of like the entire the return.
I'm not huge into the whole like go get a 23-year-old who can play tomorrow sort of thing. Like I'm at this point, it's best player available. What you're looking at is just somebody who can. You're looking for a rotation player. If you can find them, great. They don't have to play next year. You don't need players next year. You don't. Like, put it this way, whatever you need next year is not going to be solved by a guy you pick 25th in the draft. It's not.
Yeah,
like if you need an extra point guard, you're not getting them there. So I want a guy who's going to be good in Tatum and Brown's extension years, who's younger and controllable. And that's that. And if it takes a year or two, that's fine. I don't want a send him to France and never see him again project because we're never seeing seeing Begarin and Madar ever again. We're never seeing those guys
Madar
again.
Could be a couple of years away. You never know.
You will never see them again. They're gone.
I just wanted to be
stashed. They were launched.
So it's like if we hear from you again, then we'll talk. But
I don't want it right. Ping me, I guess, but I mean, enough. Send a distress signal, but I don't want to hear from you.
If they keep this thing and it goes down the way it looks right now, you just hope it's someone that has at least an audition for a rotation spot. I don't know, I don't want it to be someone that's just, even if he's just on the bench, like, geez, give me someone that you can, say like, hey, in a couple of years, he's a surefire, spot in the rotation somewhere.
Yeah, we'll see. We have
and address the defense, please. Maybe you can do that with one of these.
Sure.
One of these picks.
As we wait for Bobby Manning to jump on here, we will tell you a little bit about what are we going to tell you about? What should we tell you about? I'll find it.
How to win big money.
Oh, that would be great. We would all like to do that. But that's not what I want to talk about right now.
And watch sports.
I want to talk about Factor Meals. Now, you're entering the summer. It happened, Josue. This was the week. My kids finished school.
Oh, it's officially summer.
School is done. It's
summer
officially
vibes,
summer.
huh?
I played Mario Kart with my daughter literally for 7 hours today. That's all we did.
Oh, great game. Classic.
Yeah. We just
timeless.
That's day one of summer. But you're lazy, right? You want to get outside, you don't want to cook, and that's where Factor Meals come in. It's America's #1 ready to eat meal kit. Help you fuel up fast, ready to eat meals delivered straight to your door. Save time, eat well, tackle everything on your to-do list. And my to-do list today involves doing nothing, which is great. And I can enjoy doing nothing. And I also didn't want to cook. So Factor Meals could have come in super handy. It's fresh, never frozen meals delivered to your door, ready in just 2 minutes. Heat and enjoy. Calorie conscious meals, less than 550 per serving. Protein packed meals, 30 grams. Veggie, vegan, doesn't matter. Breakfast items, pancakes, bacon and cheddar egg bites, whatever it is. Really good stuff. Like I said, customize it, get what you want. Faster than a restaurant delivery. You just order it, bang, it's there. 2 minutes later, you're eating a delicious ready-made meal. No hassle, no fuss, no cooking, no anything. So head to factormeals.com/garden50. Use the code garden50. Get 50% off your first box. That's code garden50 at factormeals.com/garden50. 50% off that first box. Let's check in with this guy. Wow.
A little bright down here.
Oh,
This
man.
is,
You about to go shoot around, man. You by the
you
court?
Are we at the disco or what are we doing?
Down here at Auerbach Center. It's going to be a press conference right down here on the floor later tonight. And in the meantime, felt like dropping in from down here.
Okay, yeah, you look great, Bobby. What's going on?
Nothing much here, quiet so far. We're actually up on we got the media room split in half. And the war room's right to the opposite side where, we normally wait for press conferences and such up there. So a little bit of a condensed media room up there. Quite a few people here so far. And no signs of anyone in the front office yet. Obviously, they're going to pick a long time from now. Haven't seen any picks come through on the front end of the draft here yet, right? Still a couple minutes to go until get the #1 pick.
Yeah, we got time.
All right, Josue. So did Josue like it, hate it, John? Where was he at?
I understand it, I guess. I understand it. I see I see why it happened. I understand why, Brad Stevens wants his guy at the end of the day. Look, and I respect that. I really do. Like, you wouldn't be a strong GM if that's not your approach. And if you're not willing to give up, fan favorites or, guys that have been, with the team just as long as you have, right? Or almost as long as he has, right? So I understand it. I get it. I just want to see the rest of it, right? Well, I want to see the rest of how he rounds out this roster. I want to see the way that, what he does tonight with his draft pick. I think he's got a hit here. I really do, in terms of just giving maybe not a rotational player, but someone that you can see, okay, he's going to have a spot, in the next couple of years or so. And then you wait and see what he's going to do the rest of the way. The sign and trade is Grant Williams. Are you still going to trade Malcolm Brogdon? Do you address the backcourt at all in terms of maybe bringing in a veteran or someone that's established, to be your point guard, your starting point guard? Or are you going to give the keys to Malcolm Brogdon? So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. But I'm not one of these guys who's like completely like, man, like the sky's falling, this organization is screwed. But I got to see the rest of it. I got to see what Brad Stevens has, what else he has up his sleeve.
And Bobby, I definitely have come around on the idea that it was possible they were going to execute both trades and trade Brogdon and Smart.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I think it's possible. And so, I think the screw up might have cost them Tyus Jones. I mean, it didn't cost them Tyus Jones. You retained Malcolm Brogdon, but you might have had a scenario where you would have been Derek White and Tyus Jones if Smart was also on the move. If they are trying to move salary out, and we're trying to get some draft compensation, that could have been a place where they would have done it.
Yeah, and that's a guy who would have made sense for them.
Yes.
Strong analytic point guard who has thrived when he's played longer minutes out there for Memphis. They've won a ton of games with him. Yeah. When he took over for John Morant in the starting lineup several times, it's surprising to see him move in this deal to Washington. And Washington hasn't wanted anybody, but they'll take him, even with years on his contract here. So it says a lot about how well he's looked at around the league. And who knows what the pick compensation would have looked like in that case. But
Yeah, I don't know, but
you would
I
have
think
had your
it's
guy.
I think it's possible that was also happening. I think part of it was that there's a lot of salary moving sort of stuff going on right now, and I think the Celtics did want to get. And I'm thankful for it. I think they are working to get more draft capital because I think they recognize what we've talked about for a couple of years. You can't pay everyone on your roster $20 to $50 million. You've got to have some younger players and some younger talent, and you got to draft and develop. And I think the new CBA has kind of really quickly altered a lot of teams' long-term plans. Look at what Golden State just did. We haven't even really talked about it, but I mean, this is straight up panic money move right here, right? This is a get off from that contract before the extension kicks in. And Clay's coming off the books in a year, and I can re-sign Draymond, re-sign Clay at something a little bit more reasonable. And Paul's gone in a year, and I'm done. My books are clean. And I don't, and I can avoid that second tax apron. And that's clearly this is what this move is motivated by.
Yeah, and you get to retain Draymond Green potentially here if you want
And you
to.
and you hold on to Draymond.
You're trying to just have one more championship run.
Yeah, this is a let's win it next year, and then if not, let's see what's left afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
Right, and Chris Paul is a good contract. It gives you a ton of flexibility, and if he's great for you, if he proves to be an awesome fit, you can bring him back.
He's well worth
on a
$30
team
million
option.
this year, and you can continue bringing him back. You can consider bringing him back. Yeah, absolutely.
You can bring him back at a smaller price after that. You can move him at pretty much any amount that you need to in a trade as matching salary next year. So this is definitely much less about acquiring him, though I do have questions about the fit because he'll probably be there playing on that team next year as a significant piece of the rotation.
Their style at all.
No.
And when they go small, boy, do they go small now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and more and more you look at this team, they're scrapping it together more and more each year. You don't feel great about their defense reaching that level it did 2 years ago when they won the championship, especially with Paul coming in and being a mainstay in that rotation. A guy who used to be a great defender, not as much anymore, definitely reaching the older stages of his career as well. He's probably going to have to play less, but that might rejuvenate him. That might get him to the playoffs healthier. I think the biggest reason you haven't seen him thrive in the postseason the last couple of years is because he's been hurt. And he had that great run with Oklahoma City that almost ended in a second-round appearance for a team that was not in a position to contend that year at all when he arrived. Bunch of young guys, bunch of holdovers from the last team, kind of a scrap-together roster in its own right. So, can he become a catch-and-shoot guy next to Curry? Do they run a little bit more pick and roll for him to suit him and have Curry off the ball a little bit more?
Yeah,
It's
I think
definitely
that's
intriguing.
more.
I don't know. I don't actually care. But like,
well,
John,
if this hits, that's a potential contender.
Golden
for the
State,
West.
they got to make sure he's not playing any more than like 40 games, and I'm not exaggerating. Like he's got to miss half the season.
As long as
he's not gonna last till June. There's no way.
As long as Steph Curry's there, they're gonna be a contender, and you have to take them seriously. But Denver's still that team to beat out West. There's no doubt about it, and. You look at this deal, it just the way they had to rotate back on a contract they just signed a year ago.
Does it make them better next year? Because from a Celtics perspective, that's really all that matters because you have a piece of this team. You've got stock in the Warriors, and
definitely.
you want to see them tank. You
think
this makes them better next year?
Yeah, only from the fact that Poole felt expired there. Whether it's the punch,
just the fact they got rid of Poole, you could say it. Go ahead, bud.
Yeah, and he practically had a no-show postseason.
I know, but isn't it
he
crazy?
Never got over
like,
the
this is a guy who they felt so good about that he was their priority ahead of Draymond to sign to this extension.
But I never felt that way, Joe. Like even looking back at those finals a couple years ago, was he a guy who concerned you at all? Did he ever make you say like, "Oh no, here comes Poole into the lineup"?
I think he can score in bunches. I think he turned into a turnover machine. I don't think he's necessarily the type of defender that you want on that team. So I think that he hurts you there as well. But I mean, would it shock you if he scores 30 points a game this year? No.
I mean, no, not on that team.
What I'm saying is he could be a top 5 scorer next year.
Is he their star?
Yeah, that's funny you say that. Mark Spears was just like he just tweeted out what did he say? He said that
might
look
take
out for
30
Poole
shots
to
a
be
game.
the best, the leading scorer in the NBA.
Yeah, he might take 30 shots a game. So yeah, he can score 30.
So I mean, but I'm telling you, like you let a guy spread his wings. He scored 20 points a game on this team, and granted, it was 25 points per game in starter opportunities when somebody else was down. But even in a down year where he wasn't shooting great, he was turning the ball over a little bit too much, he still scored 20 points a game. You free this guy up, you're telling me he's not going to score 27 points a game on the Wizards next year? That I don't care who you are. Yeah, you're going to be taken seriously if that's what you're able to do. It's the number one most sought after talent in the league, guys who can score. The guy can score. So at the end of this year, yeah, it's going to be a crap Wizards team. He played 82 games for him last year, too. That's an important statistic. Like, I'm so stunned that people are like, oh, I watched him play a little last year and he sucked and I'm out on this guy. The Warriors thought he was their future. Like, they went to sign him. Draymond punched him and they're like, screw it. We can't make, and now we got to shed salary anyway. So fine, Draymond, you get your way. We'll keep you and we'll get rid of the kid. And that's what it feels like to me. You know,
well, if you felt great about him before, you should still feel great about him. But
I don't feel great about him. All I'm saying is, like, his story is not yet told. I
agree with you. I'm
people
saying
are talking about him like he sucks. I don't think I think he could end up being, a legit player.
maybe
in this league. So
if you believed in him to begin with, you still should. But I never did. I was never a fan of his game, and it's a huge contract. I mean, isn't that funny?
I think he's more of a number 3 guy. Maybe at the peak of his powers, maybe a 2.
Might be a 6 man.
But no, I don't know. I think he's like a third cog on a decent team at his peak. That's where I truly think he slots. But he is going to get his shots next year, and he's going to fill it up. And that's that.
He's got to make that money.
Yeah, it is 8-0 something. And the draft is starting. Let me ask you this. If you had like $20 million, like cash, and even if the odds are, a zillion to 1 that, that Wemby's going to be the number 1 pick. I don't know exactly what they were. It's worth putting it on that, right? Like, you can't lose that bet, right?
What are the odds? Let's check out FanDuel right now.
You check out FanDuel. I'll tell the people about FanDuel while we wait here. If you do want to get in on the action before the bets, and you do have $10 million, I would put it all.
Facility.
I would put it all on Wemby. Imagine that. There was like the Odin Durant thing, and like everybody just assumed it was Odin because they'd been talking about him forever. Imagine if Pop's like, nah, Scoot. That would be crazy.
I was gonna say, imagine Scoot being number 1.
The reason it would never happen is because you would get a haul to have somebody trade up for Wemby. So holding on to the pick means you're taking Wemby. So again, if I had $10 million, I would put it on. I would put it on this, even if it only won me $10. It's still worth it. But anyway, take advantage of this offer here if you sign up. If you haven't already signed up at FanDuel, Bobby, did you find the odds, or did you just say it and you wanted me to go look? We should find out. Did that mean me?
No, I got them. They're coming.
Okay. FanDuel.com/Boston, and no sweat first bet up to 1,000 when you sign up today. As I said, you can bet on any of these picks and props here. If you want to try to roll the dice and see who the Celtics will take, and these guys are going to give you some advice before we wrap up this show on who they would like to see. Like I said, sign up right here. Also, baseball in full swing, and no better place to kind of get in on that action than America's #1 sportsbook. Easy to download. You get paid right away. So make sure you check it out. Once again, FanDuel.com. No sweat first bet. You get that back in bonus bets. FanDuel.com/Boston. So back to the draft here.
I only see odds for number 4, so
they didn't put them up there.
Board. Yeah,
off the board. I almost put my 10 mil there.
Make $2.
I almost put it all. I almost bet all of CLNS. I've got the pink slips. I've got it.
So yeah, the first pick is in, right?
Pick is in. Oh my God, this is so suspenseful. This is so suspenseful. Who's tipping picks today?
I don't think Woj is tonight.
He's
Yeah,
not.
he
He
isn't.
decided.
No, he said he's gonna be on TV this year.
Uh,
He might do it on TV though.
He's not doing his creative tweets.
You know, Shams is gonna though.
let's see. Let's see who's doing it. What are the chances you think of something interesting happening at 2 or 3, or will people are the teams just going to hold and make their picks? Charlotte at 2 and Portland at 3.
The latest reporting indicated that those teams have no interest in moving on from those spots at this point. I'm sure they had a ton of conversations. I have to think Charlotte postured quite a bit at that second spot in terms of picking Miller. Maybe they'll still pick Miller, but I have a hard time thinking that they're going to actually pass up Scoot at that spot. It feels like last year when the Magic were saying they were going to take Jabari Smith and then they went with Banchero. So I have to think that they're going to stay at that spot and pick Scoot. Portland, they would have had to have had a long meeting if Zion was available there. But the latest reporting I had seen is that New Orleans is going to hold on to Zion, try to make it work with him. And I think that's a right move from their perspective, even if they could have moved up to 3. I would not have given up on Zion based on, some serious injuries and hundreds of games missed early in his career, along with some salacious internet activity. But
Baby mama drama.
when he's on the court, and you said this, John,
Yeah.
he gives them a chance to be a championship level team. I mean, you like this guy as much as anyone.
It's so tantalizing because he is. You talk about Wemby, being Zion is also one of one. There's nobody like him in the NBA. I mean, he is unreal, and he's smart. And he's a good passer too, and he's just an absolute freaking force of nature. He's borderline oh my God, it's Wemby. He's borderline unstoppable. Oh my God.
Yeah, for a second. I was like, what happened?
Oh my God. It's Wemby.
It's Wembanyama.
Up there it is. Wembanyama. That's a fun thing to say.
It really is.
Francisco.
It's because we got it down. Some people still don't have it down, so that's why it's fun for us.
Are we gonna have to go to San Antonio this year?
People that can't pronounce shit just crack me up. Figure it out,
Yeah.
Just say it a couple of times.
Antetokounmpo must have drove you nuts. People were just like, I can't say it. I won't say it.
It's not really a Greek name. So it's like it's a weird thing to say anyway,
Right.
But yeah.
But I don't know. I can just see that annoying you too.
Yeah, lots of things annoy. You know what annoys me? The accents in season 2 of The Wire when they had the Greeks there.
Oh yeah.
Really freaking bad.
Forced, huh?
Oh my God, is it bad? It's really bad.
I stopped watching that show because of that season, and then I went back.
I've come around, by the way, John. I actually like him in San Antonio. No.
Oh, you do?
No, you talk about The Wire.
I said originally this is a terrible spot for him just because there's so little talent here and small market and all the rest. But you do have the coaching. He's going to bring the audience. He could be in Syracuse, New York. He'd be on the map. But you are, I think, more likely to see him well managed, well coached, and even that front office put the right pieces around him. I think they're actually going to manage him pretty well here and help him meet his potential. Plus, it was a marquee franchise for a long time, John, and they just haven't looked like themselves.
Yeah, and that's the thing,
like the Patriots.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. And it's going to be fun to see him grow as a player, as an organization, what they put around him. How they're gonna. I like that. I like him to
what
start.
What they put around him.
Second option to Romeo. That's right.
Second option right now.
He is. I'm really excited to see him learn under Romeo.
He's gonna do. Who was it? Darius, whatever. Wanted LeBron to come and help him score in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I forget which player.
Oh no, that was was it Ricky Davis?
Ricky Davis.
Yeah.
Ricky Davis was immortal.
He was gone months after that.
He said LeBron's gonna come in and help me score more. One of my favorite quotes in NBA history.
And was not joking at all, like straight face and
He
everything.
wasn't.
Yeah. So the question is, the Hornets are on the clock. Question is it going to be Scoot or is it Miller? I know, Bobby, you didn't
Get
buy it.
Scoot. Get
Yeah.
Scoot and figure it out.
Get Scoot.
Yeah.
There's still time to do my Jalen for Hayward and Scoot trade.
I will say, and I'm backing off this a little bit now.
I'm still all in on it. I will
As much as I want the Celtics to address the backcourt again, I don't know.
I will flip out like Taylor Kyle's, watching the Patriots select an undersized linebacker. I will lose my mind if they do that. If they make that. If Celtics
Speaking
trade
of other destinations where Victor could have gone, John, I think you said this on lottery night. Charlotte would have gotten pretty scary immediately with this guy.
Immediately.
And so if they hit to some percentage of that, and Hayward's healthy next year, and Bridges comes back and is explosive, I like Mark Williams. They might be a play-in team.
Interesting question here, because the Wemby has been the number one pick for like 2 years now. So it's there's no intrigue. What's the bust potential?
It's all injury. I think if he's healthy, he's going to be incredible. But if he's hurt, I mean, that's enough to throw anybody off. And he's been hurt a handful of times early in his career so far. He had a weird groin injury that lingered for a little bit. This past season was healthy for him, but he's dealt with some lower body stuff. He does have a weird body shape. Certainly a tall guy who's going to be moving dynamically, much like Kevin Durant, who's been hurt quite a bit in his career as well. So you stay on the court, he's going to be an almost immediate franchise-changing guy. If he's hurt and on and off the court, it's going to be more like Zion.
Yeah. Plus, he's got to
except the opposite issue of Zion, too skinny.
He's got to get in the gym a little bit, and that's just something that all superstars have done. I know what he said recently about that, and maybe he thinks that the NBA is going the other direction. I mean, I'm sure people taking better care of their bodies and being more fit. I think that's another part of the because of the proper resources that NBA has. So it'll be hard for him not to, to just say like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I'm sure it'll just come with the territory, but it's always worth mentioning, especially when you see someone of that stature and you're worried about his health and if you're going to be able to stay healthy. Someone that tall and lanky.
Well, Josue, you've heard of his regimen, right? Apparently, he has a LeBron level regimen that LeBron even took a couple years. Man. Yeah, and Windhorse was saying it took LeBron 3-4 years to get to the regimen this guy's been at for a little while now. So it is probably industry into itself. The kind
absolutely,
of stuff he's doing to keep himself healthy.
We're talking about 03, 04, 05. That was the era that LeBron walked into as a rookie, and that just wasn't. Maybe it was in the beginning stages, but the way teams are
stretching your legs now, and then you're probably just stretching your legs and getting out there, right?
I mean, pretty much, and it's telling the rookies to relax with the fast food, right? I mean, a lot of these NBA players they don't start taking that out of their diet until like the third or fourth season. Turning no soda and no fast food and just having a strict diet, just that alone. But yeah, I mean, LeBron learned, and just like the guys that came before him, but now I feel like it's built in from the AAU level.
I'm not skeptical. I just I'm always skeptical of guys that tall. I think injury is in play. I also think it's just a lot of moving body parts. It's just hard to kind of pull it all together. I also think like, we're seeing like, I know, his team and, you're seeing this in the clips. I mean, like, let me ask you this. What does he need to do to be dominant? Like which aspect of his game?
Wow.
Yeah.
Hornets went Brandon Miller.
They did.
Did they really? Wow.
So
they're picking position.
So which aspect of his game? Because I always see like it's always the 3-point shooting and like he's like, a 7-4 wing, in this thing. Where do you see him dominating? Is it just he's just so long he can get wherever he wants to go and shoot the pull up and defend the rim?
This is Victor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the length, it's the range of motion. Much like KD, he can
I mean, it's
contort
very
himself to
fluid, but
create shots.
KD scored like 28 points per game his freshman year and led the nation in scoring, and literally was the same guy from the moment he stepped on the court till the rest of his life. Like Wemby shot 27% from three in France last year. Like
Right.
he's not there yet. You know, like it looks awesome, but it's not all the way there. But he's just it's like he's playing children, you know. He just takes a dribble one step and he's gone, you know. I mean, he just does silly things. It's just I want to see it against big. I mean, he's a tall, skinny kid. You know, I want to see, you know, what he's doing here, you know, at the pro level. I don't know. I'm intrigued. He may come in and be like a top 10 NBA player tomorrow, but he also might come in and take a little while to, you know, find his footing. I'm kind of curious which way it goes with him. I'm not like
Yeah, I want to see
I'm
how.
not stirring up shit. It's just like I don't know how it works. It's just a weird thing because it's just like he's so different. It's such a freaky, just freak of nature sort of player. I'm just kind of curious
Right.
what he's going to be in the NBA. Like
Well, yeah, you're curious
where he's gonna make his bones. Like where he's gonna, you know, be operating from. You know, is he a perimeter play? You know, like what's he going to be doing?
Yeah, you're curious because you want to see how he looks against opposing NBA defenses, right? You want to see how they're going to strategize against someone who's going to be the focal point of the offense and
Shams has Scoot at
the
3
go-to
also, for
guy.
what it's worth.
Scoot for
Shams says Portland's making the pick. It doesn't sound like there's any trade in play here either.
yeah, Damon Scoot it is, huh? And Simons for
There
now
goes
at least.
my two trades are gone.
So yeah, you want to see how he responds to that. You want to see how you know, his basketball IQ will certainly be put to the test, and you know it's gonna be a lot of people with high expectations even from the beginning. So we'll see how he responds.
Yeah.
Yeah, Windhorse had a lot of really interesting stuff on him. Obviously, you spent time with him over there, and I guess he was watching like old school dribbling clips and such of who was that old Hawks legend there, the great dribbler from way back. Can't think of his name off the top of my head, but you know he was watching those clips of the great players from way back when and learn how to dribble and do all the things those great perimeter players could do. And it's just, he's a dynamic player. He blocks shots. He goes from inside to outside, and he'll be blocking 3-point shots. There's almost like a Rob aspect to his defense and a comfort level. And this guy's prepared. Like he's been working years and years at a professional level out there in systems that are oriented toward setting
I'm
him
rooting
up for
for
the
him.
NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's
Like it's
he's
almost
humble.
Kobe-esque how he's coming up, John.
Yeah, he's I mean, he could be amazing. I really want to see it. I think the bust potential is only because of injury and the height and this and that. But I'm just curious how he comes in and the type of impact he makes right away. It may be instant.
This isn't a Giannis situation where he's coming in trying to figure out the game on the fly at 18. This guy, Pistol Pete, Nick's got it there. Yeah, he was watching those clips. He's been almost manufactured from a young age to be an NBA superstar. And obviously you've heard about him for a couple of years here. There's just going to be a level of preparedness and low expectations
Former
in
Celtic
terms of
Bobby
winning.
Pistol Pete Maravich.
What were his best years? His best years were with the Hawks, right?
He started with the Hawks.
Yeah.
He was here in Boston for a very last little bit. He was also on the New Orleans Jazz as well.
Do you remember him?
Pete? Oh, mainly in clips. I mean, again, we're talking, that's a while ago. That's clips. We do want to show we have a reaction here.
You remember him?
From Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum reacting.
Oh, I was just about to send that to you, damn it.
Would you want the credit?
This,
fine.
Huh?
I'll tell the viewers, Josue, that you sent it to me. Is that okay?
I'm sending it now, anyways.
Jason Tatum to Marcus Smart, my dog forever. Grateful for you and how you pushed me and helped me along this journey. Never change. Keep being you. One of a kind, can never be replaced. My brother for life. We're gonna link back up one day and get us one, no doubt about that.
That's interesting.
Until then, much love, Brody. That's it.
They're gonna link back up again one day, huh?
They are. Tatum is going. You heard it here first. Jason Tatum is joining the Memphis Grizzlies in free agency in 2 years.
One day.
Yep. Did this
I like
happen
it.
yet? This
I like it.
The
It's the first one we've
Blazers
seen from anybody, right?
are
Any
making the pick.
player.
Right now, we have no indication that anybody's trading any of these picks, right?
No.
From Woj regarding Miller, all along the entire Charlotte Hornets organization has been all in on Brandon Miller. Ownership, front office, scouts, coaches, they see him as a perennial future all-star player. So we thought that was a little bit of smoke. It was not.
No.
And Portland sitting pretty there.
Me.
Takes Scoot. Houston will be picking Thompson, according to Shams, who's just doing his own show over there at Stadium and just blowing shit up. You know, he doesn't care.
Goodman on the air together tonight.
They're just blowing it up. Yeah. I'm watching them right now.
Who else they got over there? Parsons.
I don't know. I'm checking it out.
They had Max Strus last year.
They did?
Yeah. Jeff said he was amazing.
Strus?
I never pictured that. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? Everything's kind of falling. It's boring. Everything's boring. Nobody did anything.
Yeah, you have to expect Thompson's going to go next.
That's what Shams has already reported.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Amen. Thompson going number 4.
Yeah, another ball handler for them. That's going to be interesting. They have a bunch. Maybe some flexibility to move some here, but they're in the early stages under Ime. It doesn't look like they're going to get Harden now either. It looks like Philly's posturing on the Harden front might get them a little bit of a deal, or they're just going to go back in and pay Harden to keep him around. So Ime's got a tall task in front of him out there. That's for sure. That team is so young.
Yep. So no splashes here.
When did the Clippers get worried? When were they worried about trading for someone that might be, a health concern?
I kind of wonder that. I wonder honestly whether that was they have other things they're thinking of doing.
That's
they
what I'm
got cold
thinking.
feet. They wanted to extract something else. They started to dick around. They started to drag their feet. And Brad's like, I'm not doing this. I got to get this done. And I don't have time to play your games, so they just moved out, or just simply, as was reported by Himmelsbach today, that they just couldn't get a doctor over there in time. But again, that seems dumb to me.
Yeah.
Like, meaning you just hatched the trade with 5 hours to go, not leaving them enough time to look at a player that everybody knows is injured.
Right, that explanation doesn't make a ton of sense.
That doesn't make sense either. Like, none of the explanations make sense. Also, the explanation that, like, what Windhorst reported, that it's really, really, really bad, also makes no sense. Because do you think Brad, who clearly wanted Porzingis, is going to send over an obviously damaged player
who's going to get the trade canceled?
And then all your offseason plans blew up because you tried to sneak one by them? That's also dumb and bad business. I think they were super transparent about what's going on with him, and that's that. And there's no way that the Clippers liked it at 5 and then hated it at 10. Like, it doesn't make sense. Something else happened there. I don't believe.
Yeah, it's going to be telling what they do next.
They didn't learn something new about his medicals to be like, wait a second, I'm out on this one. That doesn't make sense at all. So anyway, I just want to tell you what we're going to do here. We're going to wrap it up because there were no surprises early. And watch, we're going to jump off here and they're going to trade Jaylen Brown for the 5 pick. But what we're going to do is we're going to go live again when the Celtics make a pick or a trade. We're actually going to jump in a little bit before that. There's going to be a new link for the show. Ahmed, if you have it, throw it in the chat. The next link.
Rockets got Thompson.
Huh? Yeah.
All right. 4th pick.
Yep. We will be back. We will be back probably. Celtics pick 25. It's up. Celtics will be back around 25. We will jump in maybe around 21 or so and start to kick around some names about players that people are interested in. We're going to we're gonna get real quick Josue and Bobby's take. Rip through this list. This is their top 5 at 25. We assume some of these names will be off the board. We're starting with Josue here. Josue, go for it.
All right. So, oh yeah, perfect. Start at number 5. Look, this is a guy who's been tied with the Celtics that they were talking about potentially trading for when they still in the second round. So he should be available for them. Again, we're starting number 5 here, so he's not my favorite pick, but he's a guy who can play make a little bit for you.
Whitehead?
No, not Whitehead.
Murray.
Jakes Jr.
Oh, okay.
I just feel like he's the guy
because
who
he's number 3 on this list.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
The list we're looking at right now is Whitehead.
Oh
5.
shoot! I'm looking at. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the picture like this is number 5. And all right, yeah. Well, he's number 3. Jakes Jr. is number 3.
Colby Jones, Jamie Jaquez Jr. Who?
Chris Murray.
I got Murray. Number 2.
OMP.
Yeah.
OMP.
So who do you like? Obviously, Murray's your number 1 guy here.
Murray's my number 1 guy, but I don't know if he's going to be available. He just seems like someone's going to be gone by at least like 21 or 22. So I put him in there just in case he is available.
Yeah.
But I do like OMP. It's kind of what we were talking about before. He's a guy who can address the front court. I think he can play. He has a shot at least at a rotation spot, and he's a defender, a guy who can guard multiple positions.
Olivier, yeah. Okay, so that's just
he's a solid list. 4. I think the Celtics need a solid 4 still off this bench.
Wait a second. We're going back. What happened? I just lost it. We're going over to Bobby's. Let's see the crossover. Colby Jones is here. Whitehead is here. A couple different names. You still have Andre Jackson in there at 25.
I thought Whitehead too.
He felt like a 35 pick, Bobby.
Yeah, he did. I just can't shake him.
I cannot take my eyes off this guy, and I know his game is not. I know he's got problems. He cannot shoot at all. But my God, is he active? He can jump out of the freaking building. I love the idea of him at 35. He's so interesting to me. And he's a quick decision maker. He's a good passer.
He flies up the court.
He does a ton, and he's just effortlessly athletic. He's just one step and gone. I go watch high school clips of him. I don't know what league he was playing in, but the competition is friggin' hilarious. It's literally.
He played in Albany. He was a big Syracuse recruit.
He must have had like 14 dunks a game, but he is a really interesting guy. But you also like Jones and you like Whitehead. How about the other 2 guys on the list here? Wait, did you have Jaquez on there too, Josue?
I had Jaquez.
So you guys have an overlap of 3. We talked about Jackson. What about
Cloudy? But Bobby, why? How come Whitehead isn't? Well, I guess you got him pretty high. I have him lower on my list because of the injuries. He's got 2.
Yeah, that's why I think me and John are going to actually agree on this. This is a top 5 pick, John, if not for couple feet and leg injuries.
Yeah,
did have a second foot surgery.
Those are my favorite guys, honestly. The guys
that surprise you, right? Yeah.
The guys who should have been higher, the guys who had not a great year for one reason or another, who fell, who had a whatever it is, guys who like smoke weed or some stupid shit that like people like
they had like a bad reputation.
Yeah. And that isn't really bad or stuff like that. Like anybody who should have been higher. That's kind of why I liked Romeo. He was a top 3 player coming out of high school and just didn't have a great year and fell to you. I was like, maybe you can recapture that pedigree. It didn't work out, but I love sliders there at that 20 in those.
Yeah, 20s. He gives you that impression that he could be a shooter, a legitimate shooter in the NBA.
Knockdown shooter last year at Duke. Yeah, 42%,
come in and knock down a few threes that you can rely on. You know,
defend. He's 6'10",
like
right?
Yeah.
He's like a 6'6" at least. He's got that 6'10", 7-foot wingspan. He's a legit wing 4. And, a couple of those guys, OMP, Josue, I wasn't as crazy about him just because the offense is so limited. It's going to be tough, I think, for a Joe team in particular and just the league in general now for guys who can't really shoot. Jackson's like far, far back on my list, John, even though he does make the top 5 there. Because these guys need to get on the court, right?
He's interesting.
They're not going to get on the court.
I just want another defensive piece in that front court, man. If it's one of these rookies, I think he's easily the best one.
I want
he'll be available.
I want some wing depth, and I
need some wing depth, but also guard depth.
You need some freaking athletes. You need some athletes. Like,
well, Murray would be perfect, man.
Like what's lost a little bit in what the Celtics going out in the playoffs is, and again, it's not like Miami was superior, but like they're not an athletic team. They're not. They're just not. Rob's the only. Rob and Jalen are the only plus athletes on that team.
Yeah.
So
They made Miami more athletic than they were.
Yeah, I mean they're just not athletic enough, and Rob being not 100% all year wasn't at his peak athleticism either. So they're just. I'd love to see them get a little bit more athletic there, and certainly at the wing spot as well.
Murray or Whitehead. Those are my favorite wing.
And I know JD's an athlete. He's just not there yet. Obviously, Davis.
Yeah, he's not ready.
Too raw.
He's not ready, but he's certainly.
I'm in favor of bringing in another guard. There are some other good guard prospects up there. The guy from Houston, Sasser.
Yeah, he was good for the 35.
A little short. Yeah, a little short. Probably more of a Pritchard mold, and I think you might as well keep Pritchard if you're going in that direction. So
you might as well now, Bob.
Everyone loves Pritchard.
Smart,
let's see. We'll hang on for one more pick. We'll get through the top 5 here, and then we'll wrap it. And
I think 5's in the books. The other Thompson twin heading to Detroit. It seems Oscar Thompson.
Yeah.
It seems so.
It seems so. Who said so?
Our guy James Edwards out there in Detroit. Good friend of the show.
Yep, we like James. Okay, so that's it. We're through 5 picks. Celtics, we're guessing they're picking in close to the 10 o'clock range. We'll jump back in around 9:30, 9:45. Just keep an eye out. Around pick 20,
Lots of
21.
pizza here to eat, John. I got to get back upstairs.
Go get some pizza, Bobby. Pick 2021. We'll jump back in here and we'll chop it up. We'll see who's left on these guys' lists. We'll be joined by Sherrod and Jimmy as well. We'll talk all the way through the pick.
I'm going to find a new spot, too. I'm not going to come new from the heavens this time.
From the heavens, yeah. Then after that, we will have Brad Stevens' press conference live when it happens at the end of the night.
Oh, you want to see where it's happening?
I can't wait. Yeah. Yeah. There it is. And we'll jump in live right after. Bobby, I'm actually heading down there to give you guys a piece of equipment, so you might see me in a minute. But other than that, we will we'll catch the rest of you guys later on tonight as the Celtics make their pick right now, number 25, unless they make a move. And if so, we will jump up and go live right away. We'll see you guys a little later on. Thanks for hanging out. See you about an hour or so.